Hey, nonprofit visionaries, it's me, Shalita, the nonprofit Easter O'Neill. It's been a minute since I've been on here. I'm so sorry, but I am back. And you see, I'm all dolled up and everything. You know, I got my lashes on, which I don't normally wear lashes. And it fits in with what I wanted to share with you today about promoting your nonprofit to the masses. So this morning, I just came back from the Kelly Wright Show, which is a new show on a Black network, okay, all Black network, Black host, Black producers, Black talent that's being featured on the show. And they gave me an opportunity to talk about not only my nonprofit organization, but a new company that I launched called Grow Charity Events, specifically to help nonprofit leaders of color with their special events. So I went on there, you know, and I've done this so many times over the years. So, you know, it's not anything new necessarily, but every time that it happens, I get a little nervous beforehand. And not everybody has makeup. A makeup person, Sharon, was absolutely amazing there. You know, I did my own little makeup before I went in there, and then I thought I was doing something, and then she did her thing, and I said, okay. So I'm feeling all fly and stuff. But anyway, so I figured I have to most definitely get on here and do a video for y'all today, especially since Sharon did this. I don't want it to go to waste. So yeah, I want to talk to you about promoting your nonprofit to the masses. So we have to think through a couple of things, you know, before we start talking about, well, you know, I want to get my organization out there, and I want to get on television. I want to, you know, print media. I want to let people know about what I'm doing so that I can get funding or get support. And I'm all here for it. So let's cover some ground first. You want to make sure that your image or your brand is where you want it to be. I always say this because, you know, we got to build on the foundation. You got to start somewhere first. And where you start is making sure that your brand is crisp, clear, engaging, that if somebody wanted to know more about your organization, that you have your website that they can go to and then feel like it's not just words on a page. It's not just, you know, this is what we do about us, blah, blah, but it actually pulls you in and engages you, and it makes people want to get involved with your organization. So first, make sure that you have the foundation laid with being prepared for people to come find you, because you go out here and you get on a television show and everybody loves you, and then they go to your website and it's like, I don't know what's going on here. So first and foremost, make sure that your brand and your imaging, your messaging is crisp, clear, on point, and engaging. And then you want to ask for help, because look, honestly, you know, whenever you can, if you can pay for a PR person or a publicist or someone who already has access or has lists to the producers or the directors of public affairs at these different media outlets, then do that. Because I think, you know, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of not recreating the wheel. If you can connect to someone, you have the resources to pay for someone, or maybe there's someone like that on your board. And I always tell you, when you're thinking about building your tribe, you know, okay, that's somebody that you may need their skills and their talents. So if you're lucky enough to have a PR person or a branding person who already has relationships, and I say that because everything that we talk about here in nonprofit world is about relationships. But if you know someone who already has relationships with these different outlets and contacts, then definitely go that route. But if you're like, well, I do have those relationships, but not in the way that I would think that I would want to have them, right? I haven't been on NBC or CNN or any of that as of yet. But at the same time, I have been on a lot of different local networks and media outlets, and have developed relationships with the people that work at those outlets, and have been very helpful to my work in the nonprofit space, because ultimately, you know, you want to have the support of the people that are local to you, because they're closest to you and they can give you support in ways maybe that, you know, others that are outside of the market, you know, outside of your geographical location could help. But, you know, still, I've been able to piece things together myself around, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to get a platform on these different media outlets? And so I'll share with you the things that I have been able to do that have been helpful to me. And the first thing is your board. So I always talk about your board and making sure you get these, diverse set of people together, and you go to them whenever you need support or whenever you're ready for exposure. And they're your first line of defense. They're the ones that are they're your tribe. They're your tribe. Don't forget about them. Go to them and see who they know, especially at the local, print, whether it's the newspaper, local media, television. Reach out to them and see, do you know someone who works there? Because honestly, they're always looking for stories. And especially, depending on what your organization does and what your niche is, you might, and where you are, the issues that they are focusing on might be aligned with what it is that your nonprofit is doing. And so they're always looking for stories or looking for talent or people to bring in to feature. Because if they didn't have news or anything to report, especially, if they're local and in the community, then no one would be watching. So look at it that way too, is that they're looking for you. They just haven't found you yet, and you're looking for them. So you can go directly to your board and ask one, who knows a connection at one of the media outlets locally, and that they can get you connected to. Or you can seek the information out yourself and look, who is the director of public affairs at the television station, the local television station, like the local channel. Who is the person, the senior producer, of a certain program or network program that you want to go on or that you want to be featured on. And you can find this information. You have an idea, maybe, in Maryland, there's a lot of different media outlets, but, the local ones, like the radio stations as well. Don't forget about the radio stations. You have your radio stations, you have TV, you have print. We have like the Afro and Baltimore Sun, Baltimore Magazine. We have 92Q, just depending on your audience and who you're trying to reach out to, their information is listed online. You go on their website and you reach out to them and you say, hey, this is what I do, and I'm hoping that maybe I can be featured on an upcoming show or be a guest or be interviewed. What is your process? What are you looking for? What types of topics are you looking for right now? And, ask those questions and then set up lunch with them. I've done that too, where we've reached out, figure out, okay, this person, and especially for those who are very well connected to the community that work at these media outlets. They care about what's going on. They want to feature people that are local, and, you're it. So again, they're looking for you. You're looking for them. Reach out and say, hey, I want to come in and meet with you. It's the same and the similar process for when I tell you to reach out to potential funders. Is, there's one thing to email somebody and send them all your information and hope they get back to you. It's another thing to set up an in-person meeting with them and tell them about who you are and what you're doing, and then go from there. Because after that, you have an opportunity to sell it at that point, which leads into my next point about telling your story. Know what your story is and why you started your organization and why it's so important to you. Don't leave that out. And maybe, for instance, if you're working with, I'm going to say foster care because that's my world. If you're working with young people in foster care and because of that, or you're working with them because of your own personal history in foster care, know what that story is and how you want to share that with people. Like, for instance, this morning, one of the questions that came up was about foster care, because Congresswoman Karen Bass has done a lot of work in foster care. She's a huge foster care advocate, and they tied her in to my segment. So, and they sort of segued into my story around foster care and the work that I'm doing with my foundation before we started talking about my company, Grow Charity Events. So I had to know, when people, why are you so special? Like, why are you doing this? Okay, well, I was in the foster care system myself, aged out at the age of 21, went through a system after losing my mother. My mother was murdered when I was 3. My father wasn't in the picture. I've been for years of sharing my story. I get to the point of, who am I? Why does this work mean so much to me? And why should other people care? That's the next step. Because you want to center it around your story and your motivation for either starting the organization or being a part of such an organization. So you may not even have started this organization that you're at, but you still have a passion for it. And you need to be able to tell that story, that personal thing, because we're talking about nonprofit. We're in the world of nonprofit, of feeling, of touchy-feely, passion, love, joy, right? So you're connecting with people on a different level. So including your personal story is very important. Now, don't be long and drawn out about it and give all the gory details and all of the, no, we want to get to the point. This is what happened to me. This is what motivated me to start this organization. And then you want to broaden it out and say, okay, well, how are you helping other people like you? How does that include the community? How does that spill out into the community or give back to the community? How does it, the impact of your work affect the community? You want to be able to tell that story. And then you want to be able to say, well, what do you want people to know? What do you want people, I call it the call to action. What do you want people to do? Is it an event that you are promoting? Is it you want them to give money? Is it, that you just overall want them to be more aware of the population you work with, and maybe some things that they can do to on their own that can help raise awareness or help move things forward with the population that you work with. And my message was that we need to pay more attention to our children and our communities, and especially, in the Black community, where a disproportionate number of children of color, Black children, are in the foster care system. And so where I'm on a Black network, right? So that's another thing too. Know the audience of the network, or, the media outlet, whichever, whether it's the radio, who are the listeners? Who are the viewers? Know who they are, know what the station or the outlet, the media outlet stands for, because then you can align your message with that. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and talk about, Japanese practices or the Japanese community, right? On an all Black network where the viewers are Black and they're like, okay, well, I want to know, that doesn't pertain to me. Like, what do I need to know? What's affecting my community, right? So my message was tailored towards that, towards the viewers in the Black community that, listen, we're losing our children to the foster care system in disproportionate numbers. And there's something that we all can be doing, whether it's faith-based organizations that get involved, or that, maybe they don't understand or don't know that there's a lot of foster youth that might be in their congregation, or the parents of foster youth in their congregation. This might be something that they can do. So raising awareness, but tailoring it to the viewers or the listeners of the media outlet is very important. Okay. Another thing I'll go back to, because nowadays with software, with technology, we are moving towards an age where everybody has a show and everybody has a platform. We've got YouTube. Y'all might be watching it through YouTube right now, watching me right now on YouTube. But we've got, we've got YouTube, we got IG, we've got podcasts. Like, there's so many different ways that people can provide a platform for you to share what you're doing. So don't think or get in the mindset that, okay, it has to be, if it's not a national syndicated program, or if it's not Ellen or Oprah, then I don't want to be on it. Because more than likely, and 9 times out of 10, those people that you see on Ellen, or that you see on Oprah, or that you see on these large media, national and international media platforms, they have started at the local level. And someone has either gotten wind or saw a video or a program or read something about that person and may have even extended an invitation. So it's all about strategy. So don't think that if someone asks you to be on their podcast and you feel like, oh, well, no one knows you or not enough people knows you, don't think that way. Don't think that way, because honestly, it takes one person to hear or see you somewhere, right? That can change your whole life or change the whole trajectory or the impact of your nonprofit organization. It could be that one funder who has millions of dollars and just so happened to pick up a podcast, or just so happened to be looking for something else on YouTube and then saw a video that popped up and you were being featured on it. You see what I mean? So when people invite you on podcasts, or even you don't have to wait to be invited. It might be people in your circle, or again, that your board members know or volunteers of the organization know, and that you can reach out to and say, hey, you know, I really like your podcast. I like the topics that you cover. I think what I do would work well, you know, or align well with what you're talking about. Could I be a guest? Can you interview me? Absolutely. People are they looking for you, you looking for them. Okay? So don't forget about that. Don't forget about podcasts. Don't forget about YouTube. Don't forget about those local stations who have what some people may consider a smaller reach. It's about quality sometimes versus quantity. And that could be the stepping stone to get you to a national platform where then, you know, a whole bunch of other people see you. But also, you know, I like to keep it real. Hashtag nonprofit, no filter. What's more important is that the work that you do has an impact, that you're doing something, right? You're actually doing something. There's a lot of people that, and I had to remind myself of this too, because I'm like, I've been on the ground doing the work for 15 years. And, you know, you look up and you see somebody who just started doing the work, or, you know, doing something, on the Ellen show or on this show or whatever. And then, you know, you get salty. I get a little salty. Hi, what is you doing? Right? Keep in mind that it's about your impact. At the end of the day, you're not doing this for recognition. It's nice. And it helps you to bring other people in to help you increase your impact. Wonderful. But remember its place and its function. It shouldn't be an ego stroker, right? Because there are people who may get a national platform that are not doing anything in the community. Absolutely nothing. Or they're doing something, you know, just to be seen, or being seen on a national level does not translate to you actually doing impactful work or having an impact in the community. You are having an impact in the community. So even if you don't get to that point and you're on the local networks and, you know, in the community, that is really, to me, means a lot more when the community can vouch for you. When you've been on, you know, all of the local channels, or you've been in on the radio, or you've been in the magazines or the newspaper locally, and the people that are looking at that's where, not the only place where change happens, but that's truly where the greatest impact happens, in your backyard, like in your community, because that's where you're doing the work. Now, if you're a national organization and you're needing some exposure in different areas, then I understand that. You definitely, you know, we always want to shoot for the national exposure, but also make sure that where you lay your head, so to speak, where your organization does its work, that you also have the credibility there, because you can go and luck up, right, and get yourself on Oprah or something like that, and then come back home. And then what's happening? What collaborations do you have? You've been on Oprah. That's wonderful. What do we do with that? Right? So let's just keep that in mind, okay? So once you go through all of those steps, once you made sure that you're prepared, you got your website, your branding, you know what to do with people or how to respond to people when they see you on these platforms. They're like, oh, I want to get involved. And they say, how do people get in contact with you? Well, I want them to go to when they go to www. Or they call whatever number, you should have a process or have people in place to support you to respond, or at least know what you want them to do, right? So if somebody's reaching out, oh, I saw you on television and I want to meet with you, or okay, you should be attentive and responsive to your emails and responding to these people, because those are opportunities. Like the gold is in the follow-up, right? But you make sure that you have all of that together and in place before you start broadcasting what your organization is doing. Then you go to your board members' first line of defense and you ask them who has a connection into a local radio, television, print. How can we, you know, how can we get the word out there? Who do we need to contact? Check and see if they already know someone. If you can pay someone, a PR person, a marketing person, a publicist, someone who already has connections and contact information. Yeah, some people sell their lists. You know, the contact information for you know, popular media outlets. You can buy that too. If that's what's in your pocket, if you got some change and some coins to be able to do that, why not? Do that too, right? But if you don't, start with your board. If you do, start with your board. Doesn't matter, right? Start with your board, see who you know, then you actually reach out to these people. Start creating your own list. Start creating your own database of the local, like I said, media outlets that you want to reach out to. Get the contact person, reach out to them, and see if you can have lunch with them, because you're helping them too. They want to find local talent that's actually having an impact in the community. So by you seeking them out, following through, and inviting them to come to lunch or tea or coffee or something like that, your treat, and go and be able to, one, again, what you do once you get there, share your story, why, your personal story, why this is so important to you, what led you to believe to start your organization, or what led you to be connected to this organization, why you believe so much in it, and then why should they care? What is happening in the community? How is your story translating into helping other people who may have been through same or similar situations? And then what do you want them to do? Okay, what's the ask even of them at that point? Do you want to come on and be interviewed? Maybe there's some events that they're having, maybe some community events that they're sponsoring or hosting that maybe you can be featured at. All about exposure. So you ask and you listen to them about, well, what do they care about, and how does it align with what you're doing? That's important, that face to face. Then you want to make sure after you've done that and you've gone and, okay, so you've been invited, you go on, you're preparing, you make sure you have your talking points. Okay, so don't just go in there trying to go off the cuff. Have some questions that sometimes they'll ask you to send ahead of time. Send the questions you want me to ask you. All right, send me some photos, send me the contact information, because they have to edit and put all those things together. So they will ask you for this information up front. So you make sure you have your talking points all ready. Okay, you already know the answers to the questions that you've given them, and not that because you may not have an opportunity to read them, depending on if you're on television, they can see everything. So you can't have your notes sitting up there on the desk. Maybe on radio you might be able to do that, but make sure that you talk through and even practice with yourself or with someone else, and before you go on to practice what you're going to say, and make sure you feel comfortable with it, so you don't need to read. Because I don't care, I've done this hundreds of times. I've been on different types of radio stations, television shows, local recordings, you name it. But every time I go, I'm still nervous, and I'll go in there and my heart will be beating out of my chest, because I am in my head thinking about, I want to make sure I say everything right. I don't want to leave anything out. How does everything look? How do I sound? Because you want your message to be heard. And that is where the nervousness comes in. So it's natural. But remind yourself that, look, I'm here for a reason. And I am doing something in my community, or going to do something in my community that's really going to change it for the better. I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be here. Right? What I'm doing is important. I don't care what affirmations you have to tell yourself, do it. Tell yourself. Because that's going to help you ease your nerves. Okay? I just want to put that out there. So don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. It's fine. It's fine. Just be you. Bring your sauce. Bring your passion. And you can't go wrong with that. Right? So once you get on there and you've done that and you nailed it, I think I nailed it this morning. I don't know. I'll give y'all the link so you can tell me. Well, I felt good about it, but I'm always in my head too afterwards, always picking out the small things or things that I thought, it was wonderful. But make sure you share it then at that point. So now this is a tool, and most times they'll give you a link to the recording of your interview. Right? So whether that's on the radio or in person, sometimes they do that. Sometimes they might charge you for a copy of it. I don't know. It depends on, the outlet and how they do their business. But when you get it in your hand or electronically, this is now a product, a promotional tool for you and your organization. It should be on your website, right? You should have a page that says in the media, where you have the different interviews or different articles that you have been featured in, interviewed for, so on and so forth there, so people can see it. You should also make sure that your funders get it. So anyone who has supported you in the past or given you money or in-kind services or been a resource to you, make sure that they see. You want to keep them in the loop. about what you're doing, and you want to make sure your board members are kept in the loop, because sometimes they're not involved in the day-to-day. They don't know all the wonderful work that you're doing, right? They only know when they come together for certain meetings. So make sure that you send them, if it's an article, regardless of what it is, that you've been featured somewhere, make sure that you're sending it to them and say, hey, by the way, this is what I've been doing. This is what I've been up to. And this is why this work is so important, because you know what? Then they share it. They get an opportunity to share it, especially if you're talking about funders and they talk, right? So even if there's a funder that you haven't gotten money from or support from, trust me, one that you are getting support from is talking to one that you aren't currently getting support from. And there's an opportunity or possibility that through them talking, that this other funder might support you at some point. But you have to give them something to show that whatever they've poured into you or given to you is actually helping and working. So make sure your funders get it, your board members get it, your clients get it, right? So they can see, look, listen, I'm out here in these streets, trying to put the word out there for you. I'm making it happen. And then when you can, bring a client with you if it's appropriate. Some people will even request that you bring someone that you're working with to the interview, because they want to hear directly from them on how you're making an impact in their life, right? Because it comes from your story and goes into their story and how it matters in the community as a whole, right? So, want to make sure you share it with them too, because that's something that they can be proud of, and share with their family members, their friends, their networks, say, look what I've done, something they can put on their resume. Look, I was on this radio show or this television show. Okay, so that's the last step, is to make sure you disseminate it. Make sure you get it out there. So I hope that was helpful to you. And, y'all know that when I know something, or when I'm not telling you anything that I haven't already done, that I don't already know, that works. So go out there. Don't be afraid to do your little reconnaissance and find out who the contact people are at these different outlets. Even if it's the editor for the magazine, write the editor. They, some of them magazines like Essence, so if y'all know anybody that's Essence or Black Enterprise, hook a sister up, like send her the information, okay? Anyway, but, go out there, get the information. Don't be afraid, because what you have to offer this world is priceless. People need to hear what you're doing. They need to see you, because you deserve support. So don't let your nerves get in the way, or don't talk yourself out of it because you shy and that sort of thing. No, it's okay. Get out there and let the world know what you're doing. And hopefully we'll see you on Oprah or or Ellen or The View or The Talk or The Chew or The Tea or one of these shows. So in the meantime, if you need support from me, I'm here as your nonprofit coach. If you want to talk one-on-one about this, about any other topic, about starting your organization, growing your organization, raising money for your organization, or if you need someone to help you with the planning of your event, one of your special events or your annual or quarterly events, I'm here. Shalita the Nonprofit Easter O'Neal, ShalitaO'Neal.com. Don't be a stranger. Also, if you're just looking for templates, sometimes people reach out, I just need a template for this, or, I'm not quite ready for the one-on-one yet. The online courses may be for you. The best thing to do is to become a #NonprofitNoFilter member. There's different membership levels. There's 25, 45, and 95. The 95, which is the Build It membership, also includes 30 minutes of coaching, one-on-one coaching with me every month, in addition to the access to both of the online courses, Dream Your Nonprofit in a Weekend and Seed Your Nonprofit for Success, which also includes access to all the templates you might ever need. And if you don't see a template that you need, you just let me know and I can get you a template. Okay, but all of that information is on the website, ShalitaO'Neal.com. And then once you're ready to have some one-on-one time with me, then, we can talk and we can see exactly what it is that you need. And I'm here to make sure that you are successful and that you avoid any of the barriers that most nonprofit visionaries get hung up in because they don't have a coach. Don't try to do it all by yourself, because you don't have to. If you don't win, I don't win, right? And I wins. Okay. We winners. Okay. So we going to win together. So don't be spinning your wheels trying to figure it out yourself. Reach out to me. Until next time, what do I say? Be blessed.